The night was pitch black, the kind of darkness that seems to swallow everything in its path. The road stretched out before me, a thin ribbon of asphalt disappearing into the inky void. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my knuckles turning white as the engine hummed softly beneath me. I had always heard stories about driving at night, how the darkness could play tricks on your mind, but I had never truly believed them until now. I was on my way home from a friend's house, taking a route I had driven countless times before. But tonight was different. Tonight the air seemed thicker, heavier, and every sound was amplified, as if the world had been turned up a notch. My headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the road ahead, but also casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance just beyond my peripheral vision. As I drove, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced nervously at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me from the back seat. But the back seat was empty, save for a few forgotten items and the faint outlines of my belongings. I tried to dismiss my unease as mere paranoia, a side effect of the late hour and the isolation of the road. I turned up the radio, hoping that the sound of music would drown out my irrational fears. But even the familiar melodies seemed distorted, warped by the unsettling atmosphere. My heart raced as I saw a figure up ahead on the side of the road. It was a hitchhiker, a lone silhouette standing in the darkness with their thumb outstretched. Despite my growing sense of unease, I couldn't just leave them stranded in the middle of nowhere. I slowed down and pulled over, the beams of my headlights revealing a pale, gaunt face and sunken eyes. "Need a ride?" I called out, my voice trembling slightly. The hitchhiker nodded, their lips curling into a faint smile. "Thanks, I've been waiting for a while." They climbed into the passenger seat, and as they did, a chill seemed to fill the air. I could feel their eyes on me, their gaze intense and unrelenting. I tried to strike up a conversation, anything to break the silence, but their responses were short and vague. They seemed preoccupied, lost in their own thoughts. I glanced over at them, and that's when I noticed something odd. Their reflection in the window didn't quite match their appearance. Their features seemed to shift, as if their face was a canvas and someone was smudging the paint. My heart pounded in my chest, and I quickly turned my attention back to the road, my grip on the steering wheel tightening. The hitchhiker's voice cut through the silence, almost a whisper. "You shouldn't have picked me up." I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. "What do you mean?" "I'm not what I appear to be," they said cryptically. "None of this is real." I felt a surge of panic, my mind racing to make sense of their words. I wanted to pull over and kick them out of the car, to put as much distance between us as possible, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was as if some unseen force was compelling me to keep driving, to stay on this dark and desolate road with this stranger whose very presence sent shivers down my spine. As I continued to drive, the surroundings began to blur together, the road stretching on endlessly. The hitchhiker's words echoed in my mind, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I had fallen into some sort of trap, that I was trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. And then, without warning, the road ended. My heart plummeted as the headlights illuminated a sheer drop-off, a cliff that seemed to plunge into an abyss of darkness. I slammed on the brakes, my tires screeching against the asphalt as I skidded to a halt just inches from the edge. I turned to the hitchhiker, my voice trembling. "What the hell is going on?" They turned to me, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "This is where your journey ends." I opened my door and stumbled out of the car, my legs shaky as I stared out into the void. I could feel a malevolent presence surrounding me, suffocating me. The hitchhikers stood by the car, their forms shifting and warping as if they were unraveling before my eyes. "You can't escape," they hissed, their voice echoing in the emptiness. I took a step back, my heart racing as I looked around for any way out. But there was nothing, just the darkness and the feeling of impending doom. I was trapped, ensnared in a nightmare of my own making. And then, with a sickening lurch, the ground beneath me gave way. I screamed as I plummeted into the abyss, the darkness swallowing me whole. I jolted awake, my heart pounding in my chest as I sat up in my bed. The room was bathed in the soft glow of dawn, and for a moment I couldn't tell if I was still trapped in the nightmare. But as the details of my surroundings came into focus, I realized that I was back in my own room, safe and sound. If you find yourself drawn to tales that tingle your spine and tickle your imagination, then, my friend, you've stumbled upon the right channel. But wait, before we dive into the abyss of stories that send shivers down your spine, I have a little proposition for you. It's quite simple, really. All I ask is that you bestow upon me your likes. Yes, the thumbs that indicate your appreciation for the spine-tingling tales I conjure from the darkest corners of my mind. Oh, and don't think you can escape that easily. A comment, just a few trembling words, letting me know your thoughts, your own fears, or even a suggestion for the next story you'd like me to conjure up. Your words will echo in the corridors of this channel, leaving a mark that even the shadows can't erase. Now let's talk about the ultimate allegiance, subscribing. With a mere click, you join the ranks of those who seek out the eerie, the mysterious, and the uncanny. With each upload, you'll be beckoned to join us, to lose yourself in narratives that blur the lines between reality and the unknown. Remember, my dear listeners, every like, every comment, and every subscription strengthens the veil between this world and the other. So if you dare, take a step further into the darkness and join our legion of thrill seekers. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I eagerly await your presence as we journey together through the macabre wonders that lie ahead. Until next time, my fellow enthusiasts of the eerie, stay curious.